Welcome back guys to F1 Hub, and in today's video we're going to talk about why Max Verstappen's dominance is worse than Lewis Hamilton's. So if you do like this video, please drop a like and subscribe. It'll really help me out, especially since this channel is just growing. So let's just get started. Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes had dominated 8 years on the bounce when Max Verstappen turned up the wick in 2021. But let's just head back to 2014. 2014, the year where Red Bull's previous dominance had literally just ended. Mercedes had Hamilton and Rosberg in the beginning of a Mercedes domination. Lewis Hamilton was actually out of the Australian Grand Prix in the race that Rosberg won. The two Mercedes were the class of the field. However, looking back at it, it really isn't that much of a domination. Yes, they were well clear of the rest of the field, but it didn't feel as boring, and that's mainly because there was an intra-team fight. An inter-team battle between Hamilton and Rosberg for the World Championship. And even Red Bull did manage to pick up a couple of race wins in Canada, where Daniel Ricciardo triumphed, and Hungary, where he achieved another victory after a Mercedes mess-up. Ricciardo achieved those victories exactly when he was able to, using pace in that Red Bull that was often the best of the rest. Mercedes' 2015 season, however, is potentially one of the most dominating seasons yet. Hamilton pretty much dominated the year, and the title was wrapped up in the United States Grand Prix. So 2016 arrived, and as you can see from the picture, things didn't go that well. After Ferrari had battled Rosberg for second in the championship, and that sounds familiar to 2023 people, Hamilton and Rosberg collided several times during the 2016 campaign, and the title didn't go the way of Lewis Hamilton after a mechanical failure in Malaysia. Like I said, exciting. Ricciardo won the Malaysian Grand Prix, Verstappen won the Spanish Grand Prix on debut for Red Bull. So as you can see, it wasn't just Mercedes picking up races. 3 for Red Bull in 2014, 3 for Ferrari in 2015, and 2 in 2016. However, this was Mercedes' absolute destructive season, and it was a form that would never really be truly regained. So Rosberg won that year's championship, and heading into 2017 we had new regulations, so maybe Red Bull could do a title fight back, everybody thought. Except that's not what happened. In 2017, it was Ferrari, though, who did provide a championship challenge to Mercedes, and it just has parallels to 2022. Vettel led for the first half of the year with a car that was just as quick as the Mercedes, and he was capable of driving more. Another driving force in Vettel's fight back has to be Valtteri Bottas. Had Nico Rosberg been in the team, I reckon Vettel wouldn't have got that far with his championship challenge. Valtteri Bottas had beaten Felipe Massa 3 years on the bounce, a driver who beat Kimi Räikkönen in an equal machinery. Yes, I'm sounding like Nico Rosberg there. So Valtteri Bottas was not out of the hunt in 2017, and arguably one of his better Mercedes years, winning 3 Grand Prix wins. If we look at the total of wins not won by Mercedes, 5 Vettel wins, plus 1 for Ricciardo, that's 6, and 8 considering Max Verstappen won 2 races, so that's 8 times Mercedes didn't win. And it was exciting that year as well. Azerbaijan, Hamilton and Vettel collided, which actually helped Vettel out in the championship. But there's a reason why Vettel did not win that year's World Championship. Mercedes hadn't actually dominated that season, and that's exactly why we need more of it in 2024 and beyond. But the reason Vettel lost the title was mainly because of errors in Azerbaijan, such as colliding Hamilton, a race he could have won, but more directly that infamous Singapore collision between Vettel, Verstappen and Räikkönen, plus a failure in Japan, and Vettel's title hopes were over. So we rolled on to 2018, the next year, part of this lovely history lesson with. So, 2018, Vettel won the opening few Grand Prix to have a 17-point lead over Hamilton. That was quickly gone after Valtteri Bottas' puncture in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Verstappen smashing into Vettel in the previous race, the Chinese Grand Prix, and Vettel's own famous lock-up in Azerbaijan, throwing away what, in hindsight, could have been a win. None of these mistakes really cost Vettel the World Championship shoe. Yes, Vettel had 2 Baku wins in 2017 and 2018. That certainly didn't help his chances. Certainly, had he not made those mistakes and all the other mistakes he made in 2018, it would have been closer. The next mistake he made, crucially, was in the French Grand Prix, when he smashed into Valtteri Bottas. That was another desperate error, along with that Vettel lock-up in Baku. Think about it, that would have been a win, that was 7 points, and plus he could have finished second in France, which would give him another 8, and a huge tally of points here that he could have got, of 15 championship points. But then came Germany, when Hamilton was 14th and he was on pole, yet Hamilton won and Vettel crashed into the barriers. He won in Spa after the summer break, but then here come the latest runs of collisions in Italy, Russia wasn't too good either, and Japan and USA. However, the point of this video is Max Verstappen's dominance was a lot worse. This 2018 season's more like 2022, where the Ferrari driver ends up hugely behind a Mercedes with a car that was certainly quicker, and a driver capable of winning the title. So heading into 2019, and we hit the peak Mercedes dominance era, with Hamilton completely coming into his own. However, Bottas did provide a championship challenge, with only 1 point separating him after 3 rounds of the championship, which Bottas then took the lead in Azerbaijan and was on pole for the Spanish Grand Prix, where he lost the lead into turn 1. Monaco onwards though, just like 2023, and 2018 was just like 2022. Bottas's title momentum faded away though, and a crash in Hockenheim really cost him. He scored well in Austria, and in Silverstone he took pole, but like I mentioned, Bottas potentially would have won the German Grand Prix, where he crashed and just like 2018 fell out of title contention. Fun fact, Valtteri Bottas was only 87 points off Lewis Hamilton in the World Championship. In 2018 in the title fight, Vettel was 88 points off, so that means Bottas was actually closer to Hamilton than Vettel was. That's a fun fact that I'm pretty sure no one else actually knew. Moving on to 2020 though, Bottas started the season with a win but soon faded away, and despite only competing in 16 Grand Prix races, he finished over 150 points behind. That was a huge blow for Bottas, and it meant his career in Mercedes would come to an end. The only races Hamilton lost all had reasons. Austria, he had that penalty for colliding with Alex Albon, and a penalty in qualifying just cost him. 70th anniversary Grand Prix, tyre issues for Mercedes just really cost him. In Russia, Hamilton had them penalties that really cost him, putting him to third, though Bottas arguably could have won either way. And then people were like, title fight's back on. This does sound like 2024, doesn't it? Meanwhile, in Italy, Gasly won, but only because Hamilton had more penalties. Then in Sakhir, Hamilton wasn't even in. And in Abu Dhabi, Hamilton wasn't well. So 2021, and Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton had that famous title fight. Think about it, Hamilton had dominated the previous year and Verstappen would dominate the next years. Hamilton and Verstappen duelled for the world title with several collisions. The first one in Imola between Hamilton and Max Verstappen. The next one came in Silverstone when Hamilton and Verstappen smashed into each other in the opening lap. And then the next one was in Italy, where they ended up on top of each other. So that's the history of Lewis Hamilton's domination. But Max Verstappen's dominance was a lot worse. And here is exactly why. Max Verstappen and Leclerc duelled for the 2022 championship at the beginning, which is just like 2018, especially when Leclerc had a 46-point gap, basically 2018 but a lot bigger. And then by Canada, he was 46 points down in third in the championship. He would ultimately retake second, but that was it. Verstappen won 15 Grand Prix race wins despite having 2 failures. Charles Leclerc, however, lost the World Championship mainly because of his own failures, crashing poorly at Imola whilst fighting for second. And then their mechanicals in Spain and Baku didn't help, plus a grid penalty in Canada. Poor tactics in Monaco and Silverstone, which have been mentioned many times before. All those mechanical failures, a poor mistake in Singapore, crashing in the crashing in the Brazilian Grand Prix, though that really didn't really matter, to be honest. And of course, potentially the race, just like Germany in 2018, it was Charles Leclerc crashing at the 2022 French Grand Prix that ended the title for most people. So 2023, as I mentioned earlier in the video, was just like 2019. And here's why. Verstappen won the opening race, but only by 10 seconds over Sergio Perez. Yet in the commentary on F1 TV Pro, it said Max Verstappen dominates. And then they didn't say that for the Hungarian Grand Prix when he won by 33.7 seconds. I don't understand. Perez, however, won the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix from pole despite a poor start. Max Verstappen went from 15th to 2nd though. Then Australia, Perez ended the title fight essentially by crashing in a chaotic Australian Grand Prix. Then Azerbaijan, Perez won the sprint and the race, whereas Verstappen lumbered to third and second place finishes. Ninth on the grid in Miami to Perez's pole position meant we thought the title fight would be on, except it wasn't, and Verstappen won. Then Perez crashed in Monaco and the title fight was over. From there, Max Verstappen dominated. He won 10 Grand Prix in a row, and no one could stop him. Singapore was a blip, but then Japan, he won. However, Qatar wasn't really too much of a fight. Then he went to the United States, where he was pressured for the victory. Then we went to Mexico, and he dominated again. And then he went to the late races. In Las Vegas, he was pressured, but in Abu Dhabi, he wasn't. Moving on to 2024, Verstappen won the Bahrain Grand Prix by 22 seconds, a huge jump over 2023. Saudi was not even close, but however, Verstappen was out in Australia. So we thought maybe the title fight would be on. Then Japan and China blows to the rest of the field. However, in Miami, Max Verstappen didn't win. So we arrive in the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix with the question, is the title fight going to be on? Which I'm going to cover in my next video. If you want to see that, please like and subscribe so you do not miss it, because I'm going to cover exactly where we've been before this season and what really could happen. I'll see you next time.